Good day, we are Group Z3172, and our research is entitled The Learning Styles and the Academic Engagement of Psychology Students in Tagum College. I am Blessy Marie Matildo, and I will be discussing the rationale of the study. There is a growing disengagement rate among students in the school context worldwide, particularly because of the utilization of the asynchronous and synchronous learning setting. According to research conducted in Australia and the United States, undergraduates are growing less interested in the learning environment and performing poorly compared to earlier generations. When students' emotional involvement declines, they may engage in less behavioral learning in social and intellectual activities, resulting in lower cognitive engagement. Thus, students' low engagement is detrimental to their overall success. Individual differences among students affect the learning and teaching processes in the Philippines. A poor achievement of students become evident when a teacher fails to choose topic strategies that students prefer. According to Maaliw 2016, universities currently utilize a virtual learning platform to deliver various representations and knowledge to enhance interaction between teachers to students and students themselves. Despite the vast use of e-learning institutions, most of the used platforms perform poorly on motivating students' engagement and learning. Sending students to school during a pandemic is risky. Asynchronous and synchronous classes are being implemented among many schools in Mindanao. Various challenges and issues have been faced by teachers and students which disrupted the regular flow of classroom activities. Some professors in Davao City have difficulty receiving responses to the quizzes they created for their Google Class. Disruptions frequently occur, making the lecture exceedingly irritating to the students' eyes and ears. Alternatively, the teacher and the student may feel an abrupt disconnect during the talk, leaving the student perplexed, inattentive, and irritated. Due to the current learning environment, students' disengagement rate has increased. However, there is a lack of investigation regarding the students' learning styles and engagement in the asynchronous and synchronous learning environment. Thus, the researchers would like to investigate the learning styles and academic engagement among UMTC psychology students in the asynchronous and synchronous learning setting. It is vital to determine the learning styles and engagement of the students to aid in their adjustment with the transition from traditional to online learning. The lack of literature makes it an urgent matter that needs to be addressed, especially since it may contribute significantly to the current school systems and students' learning. The study is inspired by the VARK model of learning styles by Fleming and Mills, which is anchored by Cherry. It states that students learn best when modalities and activities match their learning preferences and strengths. Four types of learners are auditory, visual, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. Learning styles refer to how the individuals differ regarding their learning preferences and modality on where they feel they are efficient and more effective. Furthermore, the study is also anchored to Frederick's model of engagement, which states that engagement is a developing multidimensional construct composed of three dimensions that interrelate each other: behavioral engagement, emotional engagement, and cognitive engagement. The study aims to determine the learning styles and the level of students' engagement in learning. More specifically, it seeks to answer the following: to determine the learning styles in terms of visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and reading and writing; to assess the level of students' engagement in terms of cognitive, emotional, and behavioral.
The researchers employed quantitative descriptive design. The descriptive design suits the study since the researchers determined the learning styles and the level of engagement among UMTC psychology students. A sampling size of 212 UMTC psychology students from first year to fourth year is used in this study. The instrument employed in this study is adapted from the VARK questionnaire by Nell Fleming 1987 and the student engagement questionnaire by Delfino 2019. The first set of questionnaire deals with the learning styles of UMTC psychology students with four indicators: visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. The second set of the instrument embarks with the student engagement with three indicators: cognitive, emotional, and behavioral engagement. Also, the researchers employed statistical tools for data analysis and interpretation. The mode is utilized to determine the dominant learning style preference of UMTC psychology students, and the mean is utilized to determine the level of engagement of UMTC psychology students.
Hello, good day. I am Martin J. Camarges, and I'll be reporting about the results and discussion and the conclusions and recommendations of our study, the learning styles of UMTC psychology students, as well as the student engagement. So let us start with the results and discussion. This chapter represents the analysis of the data gathered in our study. So let us start with the learning styles of UMTC psychology students that is presented in a graphical manner. So as you can see, it is observed that for question number 1, students prefer on auditory by locating a specific destination by asking their friends or neighbors for a specific location. So they prefer on auditory. And it is also observed in question 3, 4, 5, and 6 that the students prefer on kinesthetic preference, wherein question number 3 it is stated on how to find more about a tour that they are planning. So they prefer on kinesthetic, wherein they like to look at the details of the tour that they are having. And the findings of this study demonstrates that UMTC psychology students have a variety of preferred learning styles based on the circumstances that they are in. And for the results and discussion for the level of academic engagement of UMTC psychology students, the behavioral engagement has mean of 2.65 and a standard deviation of 0.45. So it indicates a moderate level of behavioral engagement among the students. So students obtain moderately good grades and do reasonably on a test. So the students' level of cognitive engagement has a mean of 2.67 and a standard deviation of 0.52. So it indicates that the students have moderate level of cognitive engagement and that they exert more moderate effort towards working on a paper or a project required to integrate ideas or information from various sources. So they also exert moderate effort in putting together ideas or concepts from various courses when completing assignments or during class discussion. So, and the students' level of emotional engagement has a mean of 2.54 and a standard deviation of 0.59. So it indicates a moderate level of emotional engagement among the students. And it means that the students have a moderate level of participation in community-based projects as a part of their regular course, that they are also reasonably confident in learning and doing well in class. So the level of academic engagement among the UMTC psychology students have an overall mean of 2.62 and a standard deviation of 0.47. So by that data, it indicates that the students have a moderate level of academic engagement, that the study's findings are also consistent with the results of a study conducted by Mustamia and Widanti on 2020, which states that students have a moderate level of academic engagement. So next is for the conclusions and the recommendations of our study. So the conclusions drawn and recommendations offered in this chapter are based on the findings of our study. So for the conclusions, the results of this study show that students have several learning style preferences depending on the situation presented to them. So the study's findings also reveal that UMTC psychology students have a moderate behavioral, cognitive, and emotional engagement level. So furthermore, the results revealed a moderate level of student engagement in the synchronous and asynchronous learning modalities. So they have various learning style preferences when facing different situations or facing different circumstances. And for the recommendations, Based on the study's findings, student engagement still has room for improvement. The researchers suggest utilizing varied learning styles that fit well with the students' preferences in different situations. So, the researchers also suggest conducting an intervention program to increase behavioral, cognitive, and emotional student engagement. So, the researchers also suggest investigating the influence of learning styles on student engagement. So, that would be all for our report for our study. Thank you and mabuhay.